So, Kai, can you tell me when and why you left Vietnam in the first place?
Well, I grew up in a little village, fishing village, north of Nha Trang, and during after the Vietnam War, life was very difficult for everyone in Vietnam. The communists just took over, and people were trying to escape. So um, either if you were caught, you were shot or thrown in prison. So my father decided this is not the life that he wants his children to be. Someday maybe they'll be in soldier. So he also wanted to somehow take his family abroad. But he was just a simple fisherman and not able to, his boat was too small to be able to do it on himself. So he would the plan was he was going to take other people to the bigger boat and they would let him to take his family on the bigger boat. But many rendezvous, as I remember as a child, that uh, many attempt, the bigger boat got caught. So yeah, that mission was aborted. And one day, he must have planned for many months because the boat he had was quite small. And so my two aunts would go to the market selling fish and day by day accumulate a little more gasoline, oil, diesel. And at nighttime, when he'd come back from fishing, he would go to the beach nearby and dig these oil canister and bury in the sand so you would not get caught. And also to prepare for a journey like this, you need fresh water. So he would build a big canister enough in the front of the boat, and that would decrease the suspicion by the low tide that the boat would not be so heavy in the front. And so many strategic plan. When I think afterwards, he was quite clever because right next door to us was a communist police. And so every day when he would come in the fish, I would usually take the fish and give it to our neighbor just to have good relationship. And he did never suspect anything was going on. So my mother was 6 months pregnant at that.
How old were you?
I must have been around 7 years old. So I was fortunate to have a good memory and recall a lot of these childhood memory and try to understand more and more as I got older and understand the perspective of that. Yeah.
But did you feel frightened yourself that you knew you were going and leaving your home?
No, I don't think that I understood that at all because one night my mother woke us up, must have been like 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning, and took all the kids to the boat. Uh, Story came back when I was a lot older. They said that night she had some stomach pain and she was at that time 6 months pregnant. So no one would suspect anything. My dad was just going to take her to the routine hospital. And then on the way back, she took the three children, me and my two younger siblings, on the boat. She wanted to take her two sister with her, but one of them was sick. And she decided they would probably not make that journey if one of them died. And so she left behind some gold and took care of the two sisters. My mother was quite an amazing woman in the sense that she lost both her parents when she was young. So she had to marry when she was 16 and had me when she was 18. And so my mother on her side, her father was a very good businessman, but there was jealousy, and somehow back in the days there was so much tragedy that was going on in Vietnam, and war and chaotic. Let's say if you were owing someone some money, you can just accuse that they're working with the communists and that someone would pop them and that you don't have any loan left. Or the daytime, you can accuse them, now they're working with Americans, and the communists will come down and pop them. So the tragedy was a lot of bloodshed, and there was no law and order because the common people, all they care pretty much is how they're going to feed their family. So at daytime, the American Vietnamese soldier would terrorize the people. At nighttime, the communist guerrilla would come down and terrorize the people. So this is the tragedy of war because common people, they just want to make ends meet to take care of the family. So there was no law and order or anything like that. And yeah.
So on this night, they took you to the boat. What happened then?
The night we were all hidden inside. It was a little boat with a little single diesel engine, and I remember the motor so well. Tick, 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 and a lot of the exhaust fume. And I was sitting beside the water and drinking a lot of that. And they just pretended to go fishing, and they just drove farther and farther and farther until morning came. When I look around, I see no land. So we would just continue on from there. And I think Dad, through the strategic meeting with the rendezvous with all the other people who were picking up people for the bigger boat, they said, whatever happened, if some of us get caught or whatever, the strategic plan is follow the stars along that way, and somehow you would make it out to the international channel, shipping channel, and perhaps you get lucky, you get water or fuel to continue on. So pretty much no GPS, no map, no compass, never left that shore of the fishing village. Somehow, hopefully you go out there in that direction. Maybe you hit the Philippines or something like that. So our estimate at that time, they heard people who have made it across to the refugee camp and rode back home. Sometime it takes 3 or 4 days, but I think we were floating on the open water for nearly a week or two, running out of supplies. And at some point, the strategy was, he said, whatever happened, don't use your last canister of fuel, because just in case there's a ship or island, then you can always start the motor and on. And so he, being that smart, we lost an anchor, and so we got drifted depending where the wind was taking the boat. And many times we encountered waves. It was also like 30 meter. I remember trying to pee and poop on the side of the boat, and I was just seeing this massive wave, and the boat was just like a little puny canoe tossing around up and down like that.
You must have thought you were going to die, surely.
We didn't know. I was too young to understand what dying was all about, but we were hungry, and we cooked the rice with salt water, and so it was difficult to eat and stuff like that. And but my little brother had no problem with that, and seasickness and everything. But on a clear day, we just stayed adrifted. Everyone thought this is the last time we're gonna die. And my uncle saw he said, no, he saw a seagull somewhere. And where there's a seagull, there's probably some form of land somewhere. And eventually we saw this huge sand dune in the middle of nowhere. I've never seen anything. I thought it was a ship, or everyone got excited all of a sudden, from tragedy to giving up hope to suddenly now something happened. And so with the last few, my dad started the motor, and we went around trying to find an entrance into this little island, navigating through the reef with not destroying the boat, because these coral reef would just mash the wind and smash the boats to pieces. So eventually when we got to the island, everyone hopped off, and I just jumped off. I just lie in the sand because I was too weak. And fortunately on this island there were so many seagulls and seabirds, they lay their eggs. So by eating, drinking the eggs and stuff, we were able to recuperate. And so Dad was a fisherman, so naturally there was so much fish to caught. And at nighttime these sea turtle would come up, and they would lay the eggs, like 100 ping pong sized balls of eggs. And so we had plenty of food all of a sudden. We managed to kill 2 sea turtle and use their meat to dry I remember it was very good red meat, like steak in a way. I used it for fishing, and the fish just loved that. So we had meat, but unfortunately we didn't have any water. Fortunately, one of the cousin who was on the boat used to work in a distillery factory in Vietnam. So we found 2 oil drums that got drifted onto shore, and they used that and some logs to keep us warm. So we burn up the log and one to watch the flame. So how he started to light it up was he started up the engine and put some cloth in the exhaust pipe, and got so hot, and then maybe a flame, and then he ran up and then got the fuel going. And so someone was always watching the flame would continue on to keep the distillery. So we pretty much used the oil drum to fill it with salt water, and the evaporation will come up and condense into like drinking fluid. So each day everyone will get a little ration portion. So on the island,